Just as I predicted, I told you so. Go back and check the tape. I said in a previous episode that these Democrats, Republicans, Victor David Hanson, you name it, would bring up with these LA riots, these ICE riots, would bring up the Confederacy, would bring up January 6th. And boy, was I right. So here's an article over at ABC News I want to share with you. Welcome back to the channel, Culture Confederacy here. It's Wednesday night, so happy Wednesday, everybody. Now, if you're new to the channel, I don't do any fancy graphics. Not going to see my ugly kisser here on the video. You want to pick soundtracks. So it's just you, me, my smartphone. We talk about the news of the day, preserve great art, music, history, and culture, maybe a tinge of politics. So it's bare bones. What you see is what you get. Sorry I can't offer you more, but that's what the channel is. So at any rate, Pam.Bondi was interviewed today about this. And according to ABC News, Bondi says LA protest very different than January 6 rioters who were pardoned. So now the Democrats are trying to use January 6 and say, see, you did this January 6. So why can't we have our peaceful little protest here in LA? Peaceful protest my ass. And did you see the mini chins girl? That's what I'm going to call her, mini chins. Looks like she ate too many burritos or enchiladas, chimichangas. She's out there with a bullhorn, screaming at the top of her lungs. And she brings up the Rodney King riots back in '92. And I mentioned in that episode, that I talked about earlier, mentioned in that episode how 1992 was an election year. If you go back and you check all these riots, 1968, 1992, 2020. Now, well, this is an election year, but next year is the midterms. But that seems to be the common thread. All of these protests seem to happen around election time. So my prediction that this had nothing to do with ICE or immigration, is all about 2026 and 2028, that's coming true. So I'll just share with you a brief excerpt from the article here. Attorney General Pam.Bondi rejected the President Donald Trump's pardons for hundreds of rioters who assaulted police during the January 6 attack on the Capitol. Creates a double standard with the administration's aggressive response to violence at immigration protests in Los Angeles. Now, I said before, and it's coming up now, that there was this 16-minute phone call with Trump and Governor Newsom. So it's he said. No, I didn't talk to Trump. No, I called Governor Newsom. But did you ask for his permission to bring these National Guard troops in? Probably not. And according to the Constitution, Trump just can't go in there, call up the troops, whatever he wants. He needs to get the governor's permission to do that. Goes on to say California Governor Gavin Newsom slammed the Trump administration Tuesday night for its actions in California against his wishes and cited inconsistency in the president's actions, saying, quote, Trump, he's not opposed to lawlessness and violence as long as it serves him. What more evidence do we need than January 6th? So you see, whenever the left is in power, the right's going to protest. Whenever the right's in power, the left's going to protest. This is what you get when you have two stupid parties running everything. I'm sorry, you Democrats, you Republicans, you're stupid. Now, I'm not talking about those of you who choose to vote Democrat or Republican or independent. If that's what you want to do, fine. I'm an independent. I'm talking about this idea of a party, the party leadership, that have ruined everything. And what we need to do is we need to bring everything back to the states. Immigration should be handled at the state level. Now, if you want to have federal troops at our borders, say between New York and Canada or California and Mexico, okay. Arizona, wherever it is. But states are supposed to be sovereign. I think it was Pam.Bondi who was saying in this interview I saw tonight, another video. Well, if local law enforcement, if local law enforcement, can I get the words out? If local law enforcement is going to be attacked, then we're going to come in and we're going to solve the problem. We're going to save the day. No, Pam.Bondi, it's a sovereign state. Unless the governor asks you to do that, they call you and say, hey, I need your help, I need your assistance. We can't do it on our own. Then you bring in additional support from whoever the agency is. Or you bring in the National Guard. But for Gavin Newsom to point to January 6th and these other commentators on MSNBC to talk about slavery and the Fugitive Slave Clause. Did you see that one? Well, I'll get to that in a moment. Let's get through this article here. Trump's and other officials' attempts to stoke outrage over videos showing attacks on law enforcement in Los Angeles has been the subject of some mockery on social media, with Democrats and other critics of the administration posting comparisons to the assault law enforcement were subject to on January 6th when a pro-Trump mob descended on the Capitol. So it's okay for you leftists to do it, but not the right. And again, when one side's in power, the other side's going to scream. Isn't democracy great? Although we don't live in a democracy, this is a federal republic. Goes on to say more than 140 officers suffered injuries during the January 6th riot as they were beaten by objects ranging from baseball bats, hockey sticks, to rocks, and even an American flag. American flag, it's dangerous. In fact, the American flag, it's equal to the Confederate battle flag. Well, the Confederate battle flag wasn't the national flag, quote-unquote national flag of the Confederacy, but I digress. So it goes on to say Trump pardoned nearly 1,600 people, etc., etc. She says, quote, let me be very clear in speaking to you. I condemn any violence on a law enforcement officer in this country. Well, way to go, Pam.Bondi. So do I. What makes you so special? But she has not publicly commented on Trump's pardon since January 6th. Then FBI Director Kash Patel is chiming in here. Let's see what he has to say. Quote, I have always rejected any violence against law enforcement, Patel said, and I do not agree with the commutation of any sentence of any individual who committed violence against law enforcement. So she has this presser today. She pretty much dodges these questions. Well, the response should be, we need to bring this back to the states. And if Governor Newsom wants our help, it's there. I'm looking to the camera and say, Governor Newsom, we're willing to help you. Say you want our help, and we'll help you. But she says, right now in California, we're at a good point. We're not scared to go further. We're not frightened to do something else if we need to, because we're the big bad government, you see. Even if Governor Newsom likes it or not, we're going to do something if we need to. It's all politics. This is all politics. But you bring everything back to the states. Let the states handle immigration laws. Now, somebody brought up here on YouTube that what Trump should have done in the beginning is go to these red states where he has the most support and done these immigration raids that way. But he really overstepped his bound here as president doing these ICE raids. Now he has the constitutional authority to protect federal property, and that's another issue too. Why are these federal buildings even in any of these states? They shouldn't be. All federal buildings should be in D.C. I think what we need to do is just start over. I mean, seriously, at this point, if it's going to get to this point where you're going to have this type of fight between Republicans and Democrats, people like Pam.Bondi and Trump and Governor Newsom, then maybe we need to call a constitutional convention and just start from scratch and say, okay, we're going to give all the power back to the states, let the states handle it, and we'll just handle, the border here and the border there, reach a compromise somewhere. That's really what we need to do. So I wanted to talk about this. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. You can follow me on Instagram, #JasonComposes, because I write music in my spare time. Go to X, Culture Confederacy, Culture Confed 1 on X. Find me at Substack. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out. Stay safe, everybody. God bless this thing called the United States. I'll catch you next time, and y'all have a great Wednesday night. Take care.